Sweet. Let's roll.
Let's do it.
Cool.
Yep.
Yeah. That'll be a great intro, actually. Everybody go, yep.
Yep.
Check.
Yep.
All right. You are listening to and watching the Gird Up BroCast. Right? This is where young men learn how to be men, because we know what we're talking about, in theory. So, the guys with us today, we got Juan. What's up, Juan?
How's it going?
Yeah, if you want to know more about Juan, he's got an awesome story. It goes into the last one. He'll tell you about it. But a little, give us your 30-second elevator speech. Who are you?
I'm Juan David Escobar. I was born in Bogota, Colombia. Moved to the United States when I was 12. Now I go to Martin Luther College and I'm starting to become a pastor.
Awesome. Ezra?
My name's Ezra Blumer. I'm a sophomore on the pre-sem track at MLC and just enjoying being a child of Jesus. So
Awesome. I don't think we've had a teacher track guy yet, actually. Whatever. Speaks for itself. I've been one. I know what it's like. Go ahead.
I'm Cameron Schroeder, junior on the pastor track. I think I've been on it a couple of times. They probably know enough. Other than that,
Yeah. Good dude to have around. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
My name is Will Halldorson. I'm new here. I haven't been on before. I'm pretty excited. I'm a junior in the pastor track.
Awesome. So tell us a little bit more about yourself. Where are you from? What are you into?
So I grew up in Canada originally too. So my dad served a 16-year call up there, and that's where I grew up.
As soon as you said Canada, you said Seoul.
Yeah, Canada. But 4 years ago, my dad took a call to Scroggins, Texas, if you know where that is. It's 2 hours east of Dallas.
Okay.
So that's where I go home now for vacations. So, yeah.
Yeah. A lot of sunshine down there.
Yeah.
A lot more than here.
Yeah, or Canada.
I suppose, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a change. Awesome. What are you into? What do you like to do
When
you're not studying Greek and Hebrew?
So, I lift a lot. I'm in the weight room a ton. Waste a lot of my life down there. I work a lot. I work over at Mooney's. It's a bar in Hanska, if you know where that is. So, midweek, if you're looking for a drink, hit me up.
Awesome.
Hang out with my friends a lot. Waste a lot of time together, play some video games,
Awesome. There's something to be said for a life well wasted.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
A life well
sometimes
wasted.
you just gotta have fun.
Don't quote me on that and put it up on your wall or something, but there's something to be said for a life well wasted. Awesome. Before we get into it, I got to shout out our video sponsor, Brigadier General Beard Oils and Supplements. These guys aren't a particularly hairy crew, but if you need any beard oil, go check out Nate's selection at sites.google.com/Brigadier General, or find him on Facebook. It's good stuff. I use it every single morning and most evenings too. You don't want any beard drift. This will take care of it. So thanks, Nate, for the beard oil. Today's topic is discipline. Discipline. Not necessarily all the ways our parents punished us as we were kids, although that definitely ties in with discipline, right? But particularly talking about the role discipline plays in a Christian man's life. So what comes to mind when somebody brings up discipline? What comes to mind?
I think that, especially as an adult, it's really important to have kind of a regimented idea of what your day looks like. And that's not to say that every day has to be the same, but that's kind of the first thing that pops in my mind with discipline is kind of knowing what you're about and how you're going to get there.
Yeah. I think after this particular week, as soon as I started thinking about the word discipline, I started thinking about studying.
yeah,
It didn't go quite as planned.
Yeah, well, I mean, in college, that's huge.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all about discipline. Like if 10 days ago, instead of coming home and watching TV, I would have studied, then this week would have been a lot more
Easier.
fun.
I agree.
That definitely plays a role.
Yeah.
What do you guys think?
I think there's really when I look at discipline, there's really 3 aspects to it, and I think it's like that spiritual discipline, that emotional discipline, and then that physical discipline. And so each of those areas in my life, I try to regiment and have good control over and set myself up for success. I think you can so easily fall behind it if you don't discipline yourself, because it is just in our nature to just fall into being okay with what's been going on in your life and things. And so I think what discipline does is really just makes you really focus in on what you want to accomplish and what those goals that you're trying to achieve, and then break it down to how you can get there. And so you think of the Greek at MLC and the process that all of us have gone through. It's definitely regimen, because there's this goal that we're trying to get to where we can be proficient in in Greek and stuff and be able to read the Bible in its original language, which is so cool. But like to get there, we had to have discipline, and so I think that breaks down into days. I also think it breaks down into like units, and then I also think like it breaks down into years. And so typically in my life, like I that same way that of breaking things down, like I try to apply it to those emotional goals, those spiritual goals, those physical goals. So it's kind of like what I think about when I hear the word discipline and what it's been directed specifically in my life. So
Yeah. It sounds like you put a lot of thought into it too.
I've read a lot of books on discipline.
Why is it something that's so important to you?
Because I think it's so easy to get complacent with life and be okay with like I'm just going to stay in this place rather than actually work out of it, you know. And I definitely have been in that spot as a person here on this earth, and it's not. I don't think it's okay to just sit in that moment. Like we should try and try to break out of it. And the best way I know how to do that, and the best way that I think a lot of people have heard about that is and learned about it is actually like disciplining yourself. And I think like, for example, like Paul talks about like surrender every thought. You know, like how do you surrender every thought? And that goes back to discipline. That's an everyday it's a renewed self every single day. You know, and that's by Jesus, but it's also Jesus working through the Word. And if you're never in the Word or you're never disciplined in that, like what's gonna happen? You're gonna have your face gonna be dead. You know, so.
5 minutes ago, this dude didn't know what we were talking about.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's the Holy Spirit, man.
I know. Yeah, he's speaking through him today. He's feeling it. He must have done some real worship before we started. Juan, you talked a little bit about discipline last time, especially in regards to your social media accounts.
Yeah. Well, when it comes to self-discipline, I would kind of say, going along with what Cameron and was saying and Ezra just said, it starts with like finding your purpose. And there's a lot of people that know what they're supposed to do and their purpose in life, but there's a lot of people that don't. And if you don't know what your purpose is, then who's better to tell you your purpose than the one who created you? And you find those things in the Word of God and the things that He told us to do. And you know He gave us 10 commandments, but you can basically summarize them in 2: love God and love people. So I think that's what I find as in self-discipline is just to love God, love people, and try to make myself a better creation in Christ. And with the social media aspect, like what Ezra was saying, it takes time and it's a process. It's something that you develop over time, and you got to work at it every single day, because otherwise you won't get anywhere.
Yeah, what I hear you guys saying over and over again is intentionality, right?
Mm-hmm.
At some point you have to decide what you're going to be focused on and what you're going to be disciplined about. I think you two guys in particular kind of embody that. At the moment, Cam, you're training for a race, right? You're going to run a marathon?
Run a marathon.
And then
That's
you
awesome.
say living the monk's lifestyle as a bodybuilder, right? How do you guys decide what you're going to be, like what you value enough to be disciplined about? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like how do you determine what you're going to
Go after.
Yeah, what you're going to go after?
Yeah, I think a lot of that is just you as a person too, and it's like I understand as someone who loves the gym so much, you know, it's like that's my thing, that's what I'm disciplined about, that's what I'm passionate about. But at the same time, that's not what someone else might be passionate about too. So you just gotta, a lot of that is individual too. And like individually, that's what I really like to do. So
Are you inherently like a disciplined guy, or is that something that's a little extra you have to work on?
no, I think that's something that I think we all have to work on. But for me individually too, as someone who's naturally, if this is what we're talking about, someone who's naturally very skinny and small, and it's like, you know, I needed that discipline that to initially form the habits that I acquired over time, right? And so that's what I think discipline really is too, is that initial forming of habits. So getting into the gym every day or sitting down and doing your homework at a specific time, I think discipline is really key in forming those good habits, right? And so when it comes to going to church, going to Bible study, all those things too, discipline isn't always going to hold you to that every time, but starting those habits, I think discipline is very key. So
Yeah, I think coming back to those habits too once you built them, because eventually you're gonna it doesn't matter how intense you are, how focused you are, you're gonna get distracted at times, right?
Right.
So the discipline part is coming back to those habits and reforming them and rebuilding them and continuing to refine them even after the initial, joy starts to wear off a little bit.
I think like discipline specifically comes into play and is super helpful when you're going after something that maybe you're not 100% passionate about. And I think like
Greek.
that I was,
Yeah.
I was literally just about to bring up that example. Like, yes, I am very thankful that I get to learn Greek, and I 100% know that I'm going to use it in my ministry one day, and I should. You know, as a pastor, I think it's important. But at the same time, like I'm going to tell you right now that it's not the easiest thing in the world, as you guys all know.
Yeah.
And so like the discipline comes into play when I don't want to do my homework, or I don't want to, hit the vocabs, and I'm just forced to because I've built that discipline. And so, I think there's definitely moments in my life where I've had rough weeks when it comes to my faith, or, like I haven't been feeling it or whatever. And discipline comes into play when you've built those habits, and then those habits force you to go back to getting in the Word, force you to, do the thing. It's the same thing with lifting, like there are definitely weeks where I don't want to get in the weight room, don't want to, I've had practice or something and don't want to like, work on myself, but you go back to the level of discipline in which you've built. So I think that's a specific like area where discipline comes huge into play.
Yeah, you make me think about, I don't remember who said it. It might have been one of those Navy SEAL books that everybody was reading like 4 or 5 years ago. Remember those? But there's somebody talking about the idea of like when stressful situations hit, like in those worst moments, you will always fall to your highest level of mastery, right?
Exactly.
And that's where that discipline again and again is going to keep coming. Like if you're not disciplined about something, you're not going to rise to the level of your best intentions. You're going to fall to your highest level of expertise. That all comes with discipline. Yeah. When you guys start to tailspin a little bit, because everybody does, right? What is it what do you think? Well, first, what starts to go? Like when I'm going to, like afterwards, like after you have a couple of days where you're just not disciplined, right, and you're falling apart and the wheels are coming off, I can usually trace it back to either like staying up too late, eating the wrong food. Just like I can usually trace it back to something in particular, and it's usually because I don't want to do what I'm supposed to be doing. Do you guys notice any patterns in your own life of like when you're going to get off the horse?
I think sleep's probably the first to go for me. I admittedly am like really good at overbooking my schedule, especially here, and so
Easy to do here.
yeah, and so like all it takes is one more paper, quiz, or thing that needs attention at night, and then I stay up past what I'm supposed to, and then the next day I'm dragging. Maybe I take too long to do my homework, have to rush through lunch. I don't eat as much as I should, and then my run that night sucks, and then I'm sitting around feeling sorry for myself after my run, and so homework doesn't get done as quickly, and then I don't sleep. So it's just like I think for me it usually starts with sleep, or and that could come from obligations taking too long, or just deciding, yeah, I'm gonna go hang out with friends tonight. And so sometimes it's a decision, and sometimes it's a little bit less intentional, but yeah.
Yeah, for me, I think it's when like two or three of like the sleep, the food, like, or I stayed out and with friends, which is a blessing, but like then it's like, oh man, now I didn't do my homework. It's like when 2 or 3 of those things compound onto each other, that's when I really start getting like falling. And it's funny because like this week I think has been like, I think we can all acknowledge like we've been in the saddle for this new semester for we're kind of over that halfway hump now, and it's like we haven't gotten a break really. Like it's just kind of like everything is kind of like compounding on each other. And I definitely felt at the end of this last week, like literally today, like the loss of motivation and just slowly like slipping. And I think it's okay to let yourself, like, I think I first off want to like make sure that people know that it's okay to let yourself like slip every once in a while. Like there's grace, there's forgiveness for that, and like if you fall out of your habits, like take a weekend where you're just like pulling back, and me and Cameron, we went just got away like one weekend and just like had a weekend where we could just kind of refocus and stuff. Like it is good, like God wants you to take a step back, refocus on what your priorities are and things. But I think once you take that step back, it's how can you quickly get back into it and stuff. And is your time that you take a step back, is it going to be intentional with figuring out what your next steps are, or is it going to be something where you just kind of take it, but then don't actually use that for like help you get back into things, you know? And so I think this weekend is truly going to be what it's going to be for me. It's, in full honesty, it's just going to be, I'm not going to try to do much homework. I'm going to hang out with my friends. I'm going to do the things that I really enjoy doing because I need that, you know. And it's okay to be self-aware and say, hey, I need this weekend. I'm not going to fall into the routine that I built for myself because I need to take a step back. So.
Well, I think that is discipline, to
Yeah.
recognize in yourself, like, nope, this is what my needs are at the moment. This is how I'm going to meet those needs.
Yeah.
I think we talked a little bit about the long game, the idea that, you know, like, you've got long-term goals going, and part of that is the comfort of, like, discipline over time. You know, like, I don't need this today.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if like this particular set of vocab might be a little weak, but I've got 3 weeks until the test. You know, these lifts might be this week might be a rough week. Might not really push it this week, but you know, at least I'll be back in the saddle next week again. You know, those kind of, and I think we forget, especially as dudes, like, we get so intense about the things we're doing sometimes that we just, like, it's okay to take a break. And so I think often women are better at that than we are. But yeah, for sure.
I was just reading a book a few weeks ago called To Hell with the Hustle by Jefferson Bethke. I wouldn't necessarily recommend it, but there are some good things to glean. And one of them was the difference between a goal and a progression. So, like, I think we're a very goal-oriented society. I would consider myself a really goal-oriented person. But what he defined as a goal versus a progression is, a goal is something, this lofty aspiration you have, and you're, like, looking at that, and all you're doing is doing things you think will get you there. But the problem with that is when you slip, when something happens like that, or maybe you have to go somewhere else and do something else, and you miss a day. That's a failure. You just had a personal failure, and now you have to find a way to not only claw yourself back out of that hole, but then get back on the horse. Whereas if you view it as a progression, if you just say, maybe this is my ultimate goal, but this is what I'm going to do, how I'm going to progress to get there. So instead of I need to run every single day, it's like I need to build volume. And so instead of it being a personal failure, if I don't feel great today, I just know I got to get on the road and I got to do something, and that's going to bring me closer to my goal because it's a progression. I don't know. That stuck with me. It's not as concrete as I'd like it to be, but I think I liked where he was going with it.
Well, I think that's exactly it. Like, you're going to have concrete goals along the way. You know, like, I want to be able to take my shirt off this summer and look good, right? But I also, we were talking about this a little bit before we hit record. Like, I want to look good this summer, but I also want to be able to, you know, deadlift 500, squat 400, and bench 300 until I'm like 75 years old, right? I know that's not going to happen, but as long as humanly possible. And like, when you have those two, that's a really vague goal, right? Mm-hmm. And there are certainly days right now where I can't do that. But it's something that's out there, and it's a lifestyle goal more than it is like a specific action goal, you know? Yeah. Like, even, they talk about this with pro athletes all the time, right? Like, obviously you want to be an all-star, you want to be great, but what are you going to do when you're done with that? Right. There's got to be something more on the end. I think the easy, like, the low-hanging, well, it's not low-hanging fruit, but the easy goal, obviously, we've all got in common is I want to be a man after God's own heart, right? And I'm not today, so what lifestyle, I think, is maybe a better word for it, do I follow now so that in the future I get there?
And how many, what percentage of young boys do you think at some point in their life want to be a professional athlete?
97%. Yeah.
And what percent get there?
Less than 1%, yeah.
And why do you think that is?
Yeah.
Because the people that do are obsessed with it. It's about so much more than becoming a professional athlete. Mm-hmm. It's about doing what you want to do before you're going to do it professionally.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
I think I remember a quote. I was like, I think it was like LeBron was talking, and somebody was like, "Man, how can I be you or whatever? How'd you get to where?" And then he just turned the phrase basically back on itself. He's like, I don't think you really want to do the things that got me to where I am today. Like, everybody says I want to be this, I want to be that, but to do the things that is required to get to where, you know, as some of those professional athletes are, or, you know, some of the people that you really look up to, are you willing to put in the work to get there? And that's where discipline comes into play, because like it's tough to take a goal like that, such a lofty goal, you know, and like all of a sudden you're sitting here and this goal is like way up. For those who are not watching, way up here. I have one hand high, one hand low. But anyways, but when you break it down into different steps, you know, you think of like the ladder analogy. You know, you break it down to how do I get there slowly but surely. It becomes a lot more easy, and I think discipline allows you to reach a long-term goal in a very healthy way, rather than like recognize that, oh man, all of a sudden there's this huge gap and I'm never gonna be able to scale it in one night. I'm never gonna be able to, but day by day, you know, I'm never gonna be able to read the Bible overnight in Greek. It's just not gonna happen. I wish it did, you know. I'd rather not have to take Greek at MLC, just have it all in my brain. But
And just take the magic pill.
I know, I wish. If I could just sleep on the book or something and just absorb the knowledge, that'd be great.
It's one of the unknown side effects of the COVID vaccine. It's really good at languages, just like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like, I think that also goes back to the fact, like, I think that there's different levels of goals too, right? And so I think, you know, there's some of those really practical goals, those really easy goals. But yes, there's also the ones like being a man after God's own heart is not a goal that you can just, it's a lifelong goal, right? So there's no end date to that goal. You know, I'm never going to be like, this is like, I've reached it, you know, and I'm going to stop, you know. But at the same time, like, man, there's like the lift 300 pounds. Like, that's a goal that you can achieve at one point, right? But lifting that until you're 75 is a completely different type of goal, you know? And so it's important for you as you set goals and set your disciplines to like understand, like, what are these goals? Are they short term? Are they long term? Are they ones that have a definitive end, or are they ones that continue to progress? And then also be able to go back to those goals and rework them. You know, keep understanding that you're setting new ones, redefining them, because it's those goals, the ones that you set, and then the disciplines that allow you to get to that allow you to actually like progress as a human being here on Earth. So
yeah, well, and I see you doing that pretty clearly too. Especially like, obviously the goal is to be a pastor, and the goal is to be a spiritual leader. And you already now, like the way I see your Instagram page, essentially, what is your Instagram?
Fresh Faith _ Fresh Faith _
yeah. So I'll put it in the link too.
Link in the
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'll make sure we get a link in the description. So then, but basically what I see it is you saying, how can I have an influence right now? Like, how can I do what I'm going to do already now while I'm getting ready for that?
Yeah, and like you hit a really good important point that I think it's huge. I'm a huge advocate for the little things. Like, you gotta be passionate about the little things and treat them as if they were like the big things. And when I think of those little things, I think of the book of Luke in chapter 16 verse 10, where he says, if you're faithful in the little things, you will be faithful in the large ones. But if you're dishonest in the little things, you won't be honest with greater responsibilities. And God like tells us like clearly that if you are faithful, or if you do the things that you're supposed to do with like the little seeds that I give you, like those seeds are gonna grow into huge trees that are gonna bless a ton of people. And so it's a matter of, like you said, it takes time, it's a process, but like you gotta start at some point too. Like, the sooner you start, the closer you'll be to get to the point where you want to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where that discipline comes into, because you're not always going to have that motivation to do those little things, and that's when discipline is really important, to do it even though you don't want to do it.
Yeah. So do you see a lot of spillover from the gym into everyday life?
How so?
Well, like, obviously it's something you have to be incredibly disciplined about. And you were talking about how you were always a skinny little twiggy kid, right? So, and it's taken a lot of discipline to get where you're at. So have you seen those, particularly the skills that it takes to get going with your physical life, have you seen those things impact your daily life?
Right. I think the big thing that I've taken away recently is just being able to take 2 steps forward and then like 1 step back, and be able to like take a step back and evaluate where you're at, and realize that even when you achieve those goals, like I just achieved one of my big goals a while ago. I squatted 315 for 4 or whatever, and I was like, my big goal that I had for the longest time. I can't do that today. You know, so you got to realize that, okay, you know, whether it be I want to be a pastor, or I want to be a man after God's own heart. One of these days I'm going to achieve that goal, but I'm not always going to be faithful. I'm not always going to be the perfect man that God wants me to be. But some days people will look at me and it's like, okay, but it's not going to be every day. And so being able to realize that you might achieve your goal, but then you got to step back, and then push forward, step back. It hurts sometimes. It sucks.
Yeah.
But I think that's really important.
Absolutely.
You gotta honestly review your day. Like you can't lie to yourself about how
No.
you did.
You're not always going to be on your A game either, too. It's like, you got to understand, you're not always going to be, just because you did this amazing thing one day doesn't mean that's just where you're at right now.
Yeah.
Which sucks, but
Yeah.
that's just how
Yeah.
it is, too.
Like, I think the key point that you guys are drawing out, and like I kind of want to just like verbalize for the viewers, is like intentionality to take a step back and evaluate. Evaluation is so key
It's very
for discipline. Like, you think about like setting goals and stuff, and then you're doing it. You're in the thick of it, and then you talk about hitting a goal, but the goal, it doesn't just end there. Like, yes, you've hit your goal, but also evaluate, what did that process teach me, or how does this hitting of a goal here impact another area of my life here, or is this goal over now that I've hit it, or do I need to keep evaluating and understand, hey, how can I build on this?
What can I improve for next time, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
Or
so,
even, is this a healthy goal?
100%. Like, you need to be evaluating every single goal you set constantly, because life changes. We progress as human beings throughout life. Like, my same goals that I had in high school are not the same goals as emotional, physical, and spiritual as I have now here in college. Like, my life has simply just changed. It's progressed. And so it was wise for me at some point in my life to step back and understand, hey, where am I going as a human being? Do I want to go there? Is this place a place that's good for me? In the situation that I am, and then reevaluate. Every situation you get put in life, like, constantly step back, evaluate.
Yeah. So as you're talking about self-evaluation, what does that look like for you guys?
I think every once in a while, and of course this goes back to me lifting too, but every once in a while, usually it's every 2 months or so, I take a week and just step back and say, okay, what did I do well? What did I not do
Yeah.
well? What were my strengths? What do I need to improve on? And just, relax, take a little bit of volume off, take a little bit of intensity off, and just chill for a week and let my body rest. And I think that's really important too for just other aspects of life as well. You come to the end of the semester, end of a quarter, and you think, okay, what did I do well, and what needs improvement? And for me too, this year I'm taking 3 languages, and it's hard.
Yeah.
And it just, at the end of last semester, to be able to look back and, okay, like, did I achieve my goals? Kind of, not quite to where I wanted to, but that's okay, and I progressed. Like you were saying, I progressed and I got better, and this is what I think I can change for next time to do better. And I wouldn't be able to say that if I didn't have time off.
And on the bright side, you got like 20 more semesters to get it right.
I know.
Yeah.
I have so many more chances to get it.
Yeah, I think what you said was exactly basically how I go about evaluating my goals. But I think there's one aspect that I also try to incorporate on top of that. I'm sure you do it as well once you hear it. Is like, am I having fun? Is there joy in this? Because like God created us and life to for us to enjoy. Like, He does not want us to go about life like not enjoying it. He's given us His Son, which allows us to have joy in the moment and find joy in the everyday life. But I think the biggest thing that I am constantly reevaluating is, how can I add joy to something? Because let me tell you, like, you're up in the library until midnight some nights with Greek, and it's like, man, this is not fun at all. But if I can supplement that with, I'm studying with a friend, or I'm like actually like helping somebody else while also studying, like, all of a sudden it becomes a lot easier for me. And so I think when I take a step back and evaluate my goals, my disciplines, and how do I incorporate joy? Am I having fun? Because if you're not having joy in life, like, that just sucks. Like, it's not fun to go after things when there's no joy involved, or if you don't like it. And so even those things that you may not like right off the bat, like, there are ways to incorporate joy and fun into those things.
Yeah. Well, I like the way you put that too. Not the idea of like if it isn't fun, like turn and run away.
Yeah.
Like reevaluate, figure like this is something I've chosen to do. You know, what happened to the joy?
Yeah.
And then find ways to insert that joy back in.
What's the why behind the what? Why are you doing what you are doing? And I think once you reevaluate what the why is, it becomes a lot easier to do the what, you know?
Well, and that's so cliche, but it's cliche for a reason.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be cliche if it wasn't true,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. I don't know, what does it look like when you self-evaluate?
The thing I reevaluate the most is whether or not I'm bringing glory to God in what I do. And even, let's say for the Greek example, like, it's hard. I'm not the greatest at Greek, I will never say that. But I'm trying.
Join the club.
Yeah, honestly. And it's a matter of, like, am I trying hard enough? Is it just for myself or is it actually for God? Am I not trying hard enough if it's for myself or for God? So it's just, to me, I struggle a lot with that sometimes, because sometimes I just do things because I have to do them, not because I actually feel like I'm helping people by doing them. So to reevaluate my stuff in that regard reminds me to, like, the reason why I do everything.
Mm-hmm.
So if I go and talk to somebody for lunch, or if I go and do my homework, it's not because of me, but it's because God gave me another day to live a life according to His purpose, or to live a life to glorify Him. So
Yeah.
that's what I'm constantly reminding myself of.
Preach, brother.
Amen.
I think for me, self-evaluation is like honestly the easiest part of discipline. I feel everything on a really, really deep level. It's always been this way. Like, you could ask my parents when I was a kid. There was on top of the world or just mad. We have like a home video of me just like staring at Mom, just like hitting my hand against the banister. I'm just like,
I want to see that. I want to see that so bad.
and it's the same, like my emotions kind of work the same way now. So like, if I get to the end of the day and I didn't do so well, maybe I didn't get my homework done, I didn't make it to Bible study in the morning, I didn't spend enough time with people, I will feel like super discontent, and part of that is me needing to find more purpose where it matters at times, but a lot of it is just, I think, a really good self-regulating factor, you know? I can look at my day really honestly and say, like, okay, well, tomorrow will be objectively better if I just do this. Like,
Yeah.
I know that right now, like, any given night when I go to bed, I will be more excited about waking up at 6 to go to Bible study when I go to sleep than when my alarm goes off at 6. But if I can decide, like, okay, I'm gonna just set my clothes right here, so I can get dressed in the dark, make coffee and go, and then I just decide I'm doing it no matter what.
Yeah.
Just get up and go. And then that's the first step for me at least, to doing the things and living a disciplined life.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting that you say that, and I think the theme kind of follows along with everybody, kind of implied what you then said, right? Is that intensity of, self-characterization, if you will. I think a lot of times I'm upset with myself over things that nobody else would be.
Yeah.
Right? And what that really is, and sometimes, I'm not saying this is this way for everybody, but in general, for me, my expectations for myself are so much higher than everybody else's in a good way. Like, I want to be so much more than they want me to be.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And so that on that side, a lot of times I have to be like, okay, you're disappointed with yourself. Like, that doesn't mean everybody else either understands or appreciates what you expect of yourself and why this isn't, why you're not necessarily happy with it. And sometimes that kind of interferes with my relationship with the the rest of the world too. But I don't know. I think that's exactly it. Is setting those expectations that are good and healthy and worthwhile, and then just balls to the walls for them. Like no governor on those goals at all. Just getting after them. And that's what that's kind of where I I do like an intention, especially like you were saying at the end of a semester, and as a teacher, those are your circadian rhythms, right? The like just that's probably not the right use of that word, but it's a big word and it sounds intelligent. So anyway, there's gonna be like one person who does.
We know what we're talking about. We know what we're talking about.
Yeah. Anyway, so those are just those natural rhythms of life, right? You get a week off or 2 weeks off for Christmas. You get, you have a whole month of meetings usually at the end of a school year to assess and to figure out, what went well, what didn't, what we're going to change, how we're going to do it different next year. And so naturally just going through that. And a couple of times I've tried using like a book of some sort that kind of guides you through it. And there's some good ones, there's some not so good ones. There's some where I've gotten halfway through and went, this is pointless, There's a John Wooden one that's really, really good, where he just breaks down everything. I've heard that who's the guy that does the 12 Rules for Life? Jordan Peterson. I heard his, it takes like 20 or 30 hours to complete, but it's excellent, which sounds like Jordan Peterson.
Guys,
Sounds like Cameron.
Yeah. He's a complex man.
I'll take it.
So with those things in mind, what are your non-negotiables, like on a day-to-day basis? For me, it's like I will read my Bible every day. And if I don't read my Bible when I wake up in the morning, and it never happens during the day, if nothing else, like it'll be the Dwell app, while I'm falling asleep, it'll be playing, a couple of songs before I fall asleep or whatever it is. That is a non-negotiable. Usually coffee in the morning too, although that's more of a physical need at this point than it is anything else. But like that's an absolute non-negotiable. You guys have any non-negotiables?
I'll go. Mine's a good segue from that. I'm not going to say the Bible, obviously, because you just did. But
well, and I would hope it's a given for all of us.
Right.
Yeah.
And it probably looks different for all of us. That's the other thing is like I think it took me years to find the thing that actually worked and stuck. And there are still times where I like miss a day or miss a week. But like that's missing a week of like my Bible study. There's always those little non-negotiables. Like I'm gonna read a chapter right before bed.
Well, and those change with every phase of life too.
Yeah.
So like when we all get to the seminary, that'll look different. So when we're married, it'll look different. Have kids, it all changes. But
find what works for you.
And always working back to that goal of finding something that works for you. But the number one thing that I literally do every single day is coffee. But it's not just
Attaboy.
It's not just coffee.
It's right because he put that hand up. It's not just coffee.
It is a coffee ritual. It is the number one thing that wakes me up in the morning and wakes my roommates up.
Sounds like a cult.
So this is the first question I ask anyone that wants to room with me is, are you okay with me turning on my coffee grinder in the morning? Because I'm not going to grind it overnight. We're just going to lose flavor. So wake up in the morning, first thing I do, measure out the coffee, grind it, and then I do my brew. Yeah. And that's that ritual, the smell of the coffee brewing, the pouring, it just that is the first step in a good day. And a bad day, because we do it every day.
Well, I think you have a better chance of having a good day after that.
Right. I actually missed it. I missed it one day this week. Maybe for the first time in a year, and it was a slow day.
I imagine.
Yeah. So there's actually a really good book that I recommend any listener. Atomic Habits. I don't know I forget the name of the guy who wrote it, but in the book it just talks all about these different life hacks. And so the way that Cameron talks about this brewing of coffee and stuff, it is actually a psychological thing. The fact that you have like this thing that kind of sets you on your day that you do every single day will actually force you to those habits. You associate the good habits of waking up every single day with the brewing of the coffee. Or for me, every single night before I go to bed, I'll always lay my clothes out before I get into bed, because I know in the morning this is what's gonna get me going for the next day. It's just like a stupid thing, but
sounds like Ezra.
Exactly, it's a stupid thing, but like it does like create a habit. It's like a chain reaction. Like I know that because this is this way, I'm going to end up doing this. Like last night, I didn't lay my clothes out, and Cameron can attest this. I didn't get up to go read my Bible in the morning with the other guys that I normally do. And that it's a chain reaction, and so my encouragement for you, one, is to possibly read this book if you've liked anything you've heard so far.
James Clear.
James Clear, yes, genius dude. But also is to find those little tricks that gets those things started. And so I think that's kind of one thing that kind of gets me going in the morning, I guess.
Yeah. Juan, what are your non-negotiables?
I'll say two. One, going along with what you guys were talking about, and that's making my bed in the morning,
Mhm.
which is like by far one of the
Yeah.
easiest things that you can do. And it can, like you said, it's a psychological thing that.
Cam's looking around her.
That is a negotiable.
And like you were saying, so it's a psychological thing that literally makes you think that you already did something important in your day, therefore you can like attest and do other things that are along with that. And then the other one, it's kind of like a personal one that I've been working on, is just trying to make somebody else's day better, or try to make somebody else smile. I feel like we live in a society that's very like I don't know, kind of like peer pressure-y, like they put a lot of things at you and that can overwhelm people very easily. And I personally grew up in a household that was not fond of like much love and affection, so I really want to bring that into like people that I see every day. Maybe it's just when saying hi to somebody, like saying just hello to somebody can go a really long way sometimes, because it literally can make their day.
Yeah.
So I feel like the little things like that help a lot, or just praying with them.
Yeah.
I wish we could smile at people.
Yeah.
Okay, so I transferred in to MLC, if you guys didn't know, first semester, and it was weird because I like knew like 2 people on campus. So typically in the past, when I've gotten to a new situation, I just kind of smile at people, just like, no, hey, he's a friendly face, like maybe he's a nice person. But first semester, people thought I was really creepy because all they would see was these eyes look at them and like their eyebrows would raise. But I was really smiling, but at the same time, it just looked odd with the mask or whatever.
Well, that's the first thing I do when I walk out. There was a day last week or 2 weeks ago where I was talking to you guys and I forgot to take my mask off, and I felt so guilty because the first thing I do every time I walk out of the building is take my mask off, just for that reason, so that I can start looking at people, smile, and so people recognize me. I'm not, some mask.
Yeah, you're a masked
creature,
creature,
you know. Like nobody knows who you are, you know. But that's such a huge thing too. Actually, I would put that on my list of non-negotiables: is greeting people politely and like saying hello, and not even necessarily having a conversation with all of them. I'm not quite on the Gus level, but the just like having a smile on my face and making people comfortable, like, and
It goes a long way.
yeah, it does for sure. For sure. What are your non-negotiables?
Food.
Yeah.
I love
Oh,
food
yeah.
so much.
Yeah.
But so a lot of the time too, like I'm gonna start dieting for the summer or whatever in a couple days here. I'm actually pretty excited about it. but food is such a non-negotiable, because even when you're dieting and you're hungry and it's like I have in my diet certain foods that I just love. Like I love dark chocolate. I'm gonna eat dark chocolate every day. I don't care. You know? And so I fit it in, I make sure it's in there because it's a non-negotiable for me. So
Yeah.
And
I
that's,
love my food.
I think that's
Well, you
also,
saw the giant bullet
healthy,
of
too.
chicken thawing out on the counter.
Yeah, I see you. Yeah.
it's also good to reward yourself too. You know,
Yeah.
like chocolate maybe isn't something that naturally people are like, it's not even
Friday night ice cream for
Dude.
me.
But like it's good to
Friday night ice cream.
It's so important to reward yourself too.
Yeah,
You
that's
know?
good for longevity too,
Yeah.
because it's like if you're strict with you, and this goes for everything too. If you're just super strict with yourself all the time, like motivation might kind of get you through that at first, but at a certain point, you just give up because it's just not fun.
No.
Right.
You know, you need that like 10% of wiggle room, where you can be an adult and eat what you want.
Yeah.
And, go out with your friends and
Yeah.
do something that you want, even though it doesn't really fit into your schedule.
Yeah.
You're gonna make it fit.
Right.
That's facts.
I used to do Friday night pizza. I would eat an entire pizza every Friday night, and then Saturday was just such an awful morning. I decided to go with Friday night ice cream instead, and that's a little sweet tooth thing too. So
I love ice cream.
yeah.
I used
Yeah.
to crush like at least 2 Domino's pizzas a week. It was last year
Oof,
actually. Yeah, when I was working
To have your
crazy hours
metabolism.
at Vogel. Hey, you gotta use it while you have it.
I don't think I ever did.
The pizzas don't pair well with running a lot though.
Oh, I don't
I will
imagine.
tell you that right now.
Don't imagine.
Chicken and
Okay.
veggies.
I'm about to give you guys way too much information here. You ready for this? Okay, so I've been trying to find ways to get more greens into my diet because I'm a big boy and I love my protein, and I just don't ever eat enough greens. So I was trying to like change up my timing. So instead of having, I usually have like a whole milk protein shake right away in the morning,
Same.
and then I eat the school lunch at school. After I'm done teaching, and then immediately come home and eat like half a dozen eggs just to get the protein in. But I flip-flopped them, so now I'm eating cottage cheese and eggs in the morning, So 5 eggs and cottage cheese in the morning, and then because I'm in class and teaching and stuff, I usually don't eat again until like noon, and then again at like 1 o'clock. So I decided this week I was gonna do spinach, like just a handful, which I have big hands, so it's a big handful of spinach, but a handful of spinach with like mushrooms for the vitamin D and bell peppers and all that kind of stuff
eggs?
in there. No, just like on the side. So I had making chicken, and so the chicken, I also split my chicken portion in half. So instead of sitting down and eating a pound and a half of chicken all at once, which I have the stomach to digest, thank the Lord, but I know it's not always easy. But I decided to eat spinach in the middle of the day. So on Tuesday, this is before I went to the chiropractor, so I wasn't really lifting that heavy because I knew something was wrong. And then Wednesday I went to the chiropractor and then got after it. And then yesterday, this was the third day of eating spinach at noontime, I tried to train legs. I don't think I farted so much in 1 hour any other time.
Oh,
I think the farts yesterday, if you combined them all, and it was probably more airtime than all of my life combined up till then. Like, it was so bad.
Yeah.
It was
In
the
the weight
worst,
room?
and it smelled bad too.
In the weight room?
Yeah, like it was at the point where like I was doing abs and people are like taking off their headphones and like looking around, and
Dude, I thought I
it was
saw
the
something on the treadmill.
worst. Oh, that was a little too early. I hadn't quite started then.
And we've lost all the viewers for this.
Yeah.
Oh
everyone
my
just
goodness,
Yeah,
it was so bad.
Yeah, pro tip, that's when you go in the corner where there's no one, and then you can...
But this went on for like 45 minutes or an hour. It just kept going and
It's
going.
time to just switch off the spinach.
And this
Where's
is
that now?
and this is
It's not
and this
worth it.
is
I just wanted to share with
and
someone.
this is where evaluation comes so.
Is that
The best
Bring
part
it
of
back to the
this is,
point.
the
Bring it
best
back
part
to
of
the
this is
point.
my students watch this too,
Right.
so I will most definitely hear about this on Monday.
You're getting
morning.
blamed.
awesome.
You're getting blamed for every fart in the classroom.
Yeah.
Oh, I already do. That was one of my favorite things when I was teaching first and second grade. Is I would just like walk over and fart next to a kid and then walk away, and then be like,
and then watch them all turn on each
Jamal,
other.
what are you doing? And they, yeah, exactly. They all turn on each other, and then they're all arguing. And then after a while, they figure it out. And so then when anybody farts, it's just Mr. You. It's like, I wasn't even old. What are you talking about?
You deserve it.
It's, oh yeah, deserve it.
Anyway,
I own that.
monster.
We'll save the rest of that for the fart episode of the podcast.
Yeah.
We should do an episode
Fart pod.
Same
entirely
time next
about
week.
farts.
Gotta make sure Gustav's back for that one.
Yeah. he's
Something
out
tells me.
He's out of quarantine today. He finally got out of the clink.
Good for
I've been
him.
watching his Instagram videos. Anyway,
Yeah. If you haven't been watching Gus's Instagram videos, was it speech talks from a window
Yeah.
or something like that?
if you feel sad, watch them and you'll feel better. You'll be like, oh, I'm doing all right.
Yep.
Poor
Yeah.
guy.
That's got to be so
That's
tough to be
nice.
locked in that room like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, what are you guys chasing after? Well, we talked about big goals. We talked about like lifelong goals. And Cam, we talked a little bit about. Why don't you start us off? What are you looking for right now? What are your
Yeah.
big goals right now?
So my biggest goal right now is that I'm hoping to run a marathon on May 29th.
Which is super cool, by the way.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Yeah, congrats, man.
And actually, so I don't really like running. The reason I decided to run a marathon is because I told myself I couldn't, and I almost told somebody else I couldn't, and then I decided instead of sending that comment that I was gonna do it instead. But that's not enough motivation for me, and so I'm just gonna do the pitch right now because I just partnered with an organization called the Exodus Road, which is an organization that sends operatives into brothels in Thailand, India, Southeast Asia, literally wearing spy gear to collect information to break up trafficking rings and bring criminals to justice and rescue little boys and girls from forced sex trafficking. And so I'm partnering with them, and so now the goal is to leverage this marathon for justice and to see how much money we can raise. Every dime is going to literally save children. And so like when I'm out on a 14-mile run and it sucks and I'm uncomfortable, like
Doing it for the kids.
Right. Well, exactly. I'm just like, well, this is awful. This is so uncomfortable, but it's not half as uncomfortable as what they're going through.
Yeah.
And so that's what I'm thinking about. I'm launching my campaign on March 29th. So there'll be probably a promo video. Might be interviewing the friend of mine that got me into all this. Maybe some people in the organization. So keep an eye out.
that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah. Do you know where any of that's going to be posted yet?
It'll all be probably through my Instagram, Cam Schro, at Cam Schro, CAMSCHRO.
You should say it again so that you remember.
At CAMSCHRO.
These show notes are going to be so long. Say that again.
At CAMSCHRO. So
No,
yeah.
I won't
It'll be in the.
One more time.
It'll be in the show notes down below.
Another one.
Yeah.
So-
What are you chasing after, Ezra?
Yeah, so recently, like, God's been really, like, convicting my heart of, like, just, like, my situation in high school and, like, what there wasn't really anything for me when it came to, like, keep developing my faith, as well as, like, even last year in college, like, I think just as having more resources for college and high school young adults, like, we lose so many people when they go off to college, or, you know, even in high school it starts, where they just get farther and farther away from Jesus. It's the transition between, like, that childlike faith and actually taking on their own, and I don't think that there's enough for them. And so right now, me and my sister are basically working on putting together a tour of the western part of the country, the first 2 weeks in June. So basically the idea would be to have, like, worship nights, teen nights, basically retreats, where we'd just be able to have fun with them, tell a little bit about our story, provide resources, hopefully a great message, and then just worship. Just to get people excited about Jesus, specifically in that high school and college age. And so right now we have stops, I think, in Montana, Wyoming, down to Colorado, a couple places in Colorado, and then a couple places in Arizona. And then we'll be coming back and things. And so me and my sister are really putting out, you know, kind of promo stuff for that, really working to make it work and stuff, and contacting a lot of pastors in those areas right now, trying to set up dates and things. So that's really what I'm working towards, as far as, like, that. And then in conjunction with that, like, at my home church, like, just keep growing, like, the resources that we have for our high school and college age. And so we're really working on putting together, like, volunteer opportunities to work with the homeless, this and, like, allow them to talk about Jesus to them, as well as some really awesome worship night opportunities that will hopefully be putting forth this summer. So that's kind of, like, Jesus has been kind of convicting my heart of, like, of that and that weakness that I feel like that we have. And so just trying to do my best to work to help alleviate some of that in our church. So
Yeah, that's super cool, man.
Yeah,
That sounds
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah. You guys always make me feel like I'm not, like, so this is the reason I'm saying this out loud isn't because I feel sorry for myself, it's because I think other people feel this way too, where when you get around people that are absolutely chasing after, you know, like we talked about with your Instagram, like, you have more Instagram followers than I'm ever gonna have. Like, I could have a bajillion downloads and I'm still not gonna, we've almost at 100,000 downloads and I still have, like, 35 followers on Instagram. Like, it's just never gonna happen.
Right.
And that's okay. I'm okay
Yeah.
with that. But sometimes you start to feel that imposter syndrome and inadequacy, and, like, you're talking about this super cool stuff, and as soon as you started saying it, in my brain it was just like, I don't know if I could ever do that. Similar like what you said with the marathon. It was just like, I don't know. And so, oh yeah, go ahead.
Everything we do makes ripples.
Mm-hmm.
The only reason that I know anything about human trafficking is because somebody told me.
yeah, I was about to say.
You know? And the only reason that I am running is because somebody asked me if I would. You know? So, like, I know for a fact that people are affected by the ministry of this podcast and everything that's attached to it. And that has been. You know?
Would you ever have thought about even putting on a tour if it hadn't been for Seth and Jenna?
Seth and Jenna, as well as I had some friends who were missionaries in Hawaii, and they came back to Minnesota, and they were basically just doing the same thing in Minnesota area, and they're like, they were talking one night, and we're like, is there any dreams that you would kind of, like, put away because, like, you just think that they're too impossible? Like, I think maybe you should reevaluate them and see if you can actually pull them off. And then that was one of the dreams that I had based on seeing, like, you know, my aunt and uncle travel the country and be able to do that. And so, like I never had, like, these big dreams that I wanted to work towards before, like, I got into a situation where people around me were pushing me towards that. And, like, that's the cool part about this, like, everybody in this room pushes each other. Like, you know, I personally know, like, Cameron's pushed me towards so many different goals, you know, in my life, and that's what church is supposed to be, you know, pushing each other towards what we're trying to to do in this life. Like let's work together. Let's inspire each other to do things.
What's truly important. Too.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and you're gonna have a heck of a lot of fun doing this too. It's gonna be a blast.
100%. Yeah.
It's a lot more fun than like loading pigs onto trailers or something this summer. Like if you're gonna do something over the summer,
Might as well travel.
it's gonna be ministry and it's gonna be a heck of a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Will, what are you looking for? What are you pushing for?
I'm just looking. So, here's my own plug. I'm in the Minnesota National Guard,
There you
and
go.
so my goal for after college is actually to take a couple years off right before seminary and go active duty. And my thought for doing that too was just to have as much experience as I could doing that to really connect with people as a pastor. And so I think that's something that not very many WELS pastors especially have, and just to be able to have that experience to be able to connect with people who have gone through stuff like that and to reach them, because it's so cool. It's like a club,
Mm-hmm.
and people are like, oh, where are you stationed? Oh, do you know so-and-so and whatever, and it's just to have that background with someone that you do not know, and then to have that as a bridge to share the gospel with them, I think that's what I want. I want that so bad.
Yeah, and on the back end, for a lifetime, you've got that connection with the veteran community. Then,
Right.
particularly if you do a deployment or two,
Mm-hmm.
I could walk into the VFW and be like, "Hey, I'm here to talk about Jesus." You can walk into the VFW and it holds a whole lot more weight.
Right.
That's huge, dude.
Yeah.
I'm pumped for you.
Yeah.
I'm pumped. Yeah, and free college too. So if anyone
Yeah.
wants to hook
We
me up,
like that.
I can get you in.
Juan, what are you chasing after?
I kind of have 4 main goals right now, and 2 of them are very long down the road. So my first one is Fresh Faith. Kind of dropping my own series of little sermons or little Bible verses and video recording them, and I'm also dropping a little bit of merch for that too. Then the other one is I'm also leading some Spanish Bible studies at our college. We saw a need at MLC that there's not a lot of diversity or cultural knowledge about stuff, and I know there's a lot of people that are interested in learning a new language such as Spanish, and given that I speak Spanish already, I thought it would be a great opportunity to offer that option to our students. So I'm doing those things, and I hope to get a lot more people coming from our Spanish program to do those things too. And then the 2 other ones are along down the road. The main one is to become a missionary in South America, and I'm working with Academia Cristo, which is kind of if you know about MLC, it's kind of like MLC but from South America. We help people that don't know about the gospel, about the word, and we basically just teach them how to preach and how to make their own churches there. They've been going on for a while now, so I've been working with them for a while, and we've been doing many mission trips to Puerto Rico and many other different countries in South America. So that's kind of what my main idea is as to what I want to do once I graduate from the seminary. And I also this is kind of one personal thing that I want to do is to become a missionary in France, Paris. I know that right now the WELS does not have any missions in that side of Europe, and there's a lot of atheism and agnosticism, if that's a word. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but I really want to be, maybe not the first one, but be part of that mission trip that goes there and just evangelizes people there. So those are the main 4 things that I'm really
That's
have
awesome.
in my mind right now.
Very cool. Very cool. Why don't you spit some Spanish at us? What's John 3:16 in Spanish?
Oh, don't make me quote anything like that. On the spot. I actually don't remember.
It's okay. It means the same thing in English.
Can you, say it in English and then I'll translate it for you in Spanish.
For God so loved the world
Porque Dios tanto amó al mundo.
that he gave his one and only son.
See? There you go. I'm not the only one. Thank you.
That's so dumb as soon as I was
You're
like, oh,
hypnotized.
shoot.
You're hypnotized.
It's hard.
That's right,
It's
yeah, I
hard.
was just so drawn in by the Spanish. I was like, wow.
Your accent's
Por
beautiful.
tanto Dios amó al mundo que envió a su único hijo para convertirnos en todos.
You said you didn't know it.
Oh, well, now I remember. I didn't remember back then.
You gave him a second when you
That's
forgot
right,
it.
yeah, I was helping you out, bro. This is giving me the chance.
This is the future of you.
We're gonna be such great
Coming
pastors.
to a church near you.
You got 20 more semesters to learn.
That's true. That's right, yeah. Oh, man, I was looking at my schedule for next year, and this is I was already intimidated by I don't have that many more credits, but that many more classes,
Yeah.
and I'm already, thinking about it.
You got,
Well, how am I gonna
I'm
make
thinking
it
about what
happen?
you're going to have next year, and it's That'd be
Yeah,
some decent-
Greek, Hebrew, and I'm taking extra Greek, so I'm taking the Greek you guys have to take.
Yeah.
So I'm taking normal Greek, but it's extra Greek for a guy like me.
Yep.
And then, I gotta take some, like, Rise of the West and other stuff, too. so-
ACR.
You'd think Rise of the West?
Yeah, well, because they changed all the curriculum and stuff.
Gotcha.
So that's the only gen ed I have to take.
Okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah. But just finding a way to, like, that's one of the big things I'm working on right now is being disciplined now with very little work to do. So that I can, well, hopefully work less next year, and then like to have good study habits going in, to have a good base of, the reason I'm doing it the way I am is so that I have a good base in Greek before I have to jump into the Hebrew,
Right.
because it was just so hard the first time around. I said, you know what, I'm not in a hurry,
Yeah.
take my time. Yeah, the other one, this is going to sound so dorky, but the other one I just keep like self-assessing on is like, I'm 28 years old, like there's no secret, like I would love to start a family, you
Yeah.
know? And the just the consistent, not even necessarily that I'm not now, but just the consistent asking myself of like, would I want to bring a woman into this?
Yeah.
You know, would I want to bring somebody else into this? Would I want to bring kids into this? You know, and that constant self-assessment of like, am I being what I, you know, it's easy to be like, yeah, I'm a guy that loves Jesus. It's a whole other thing to sit back and say like, okay, would I really want someone else to join me in this and see every moment of it?
Yeah.
You know, that's been a big one for me.
Mm-hmm.
We're running out of time here, guys. So, any last thoughts? Any last words on discipline today?
I'm gonna plug my synodical schools in here real quick because, oh my goodness, as a high schooler, some of the study habits that we learned at Luther Prep, or if you go to MLS or whatever, I'm sure it's the same thing, just not as good. But
See, this is why we don't. He's also the first prep kid, I think, on the show. And there's a
Really?
reason. I believe it.
What?
I believe so.
What?
Unless I'm mistaken.
My goodness. But if we're talking about discipline, I mean, oh my goodness. I mean, just being forced to sit down and study every day, even with just, I mean, I look back at high school and how little homework I have compared to now, and it's ridiculous. But I still sat down at my desk for 2 hours every night. I did my homework because I was forced to. And I was forced to put my
Yeah.
phone in the box. And I was forced to go to class every day for how many hours? I don't know how I did that. I was in class until 3 every day. But in football practice, and you know, it's just it structures your life at such a young age, and really, I think it sets you up well.
Yeah.
So
Well,
if you're
I
on the
think
fence about it, do it.
I think Area Lutheran high schools, you could say the same thing.
I think
Like,
so,
we
too.
don't have failing Area Lutheran high schools.
No.
Like that's blanket statement, and it's absolutely true. The reason our Area Lutheran high schools are so popular with people that aren't part of our church body is because they're so good. And that's a huge point of praise, and we should keep it that way. Awesome. So lay down your, one more time, lay down, where can we find everybody? Go ahead, Juan, you start.
My personal account on Instagram is JUANDAESCOBARA, and then freshfaith_.
You can find me on Instagram at Ezra Blumer BLUMER.
At Cam Schro. I'm not going to spell it again.
Spell it again.
Cam Schro.
All right, and go ahead, Will.
I don't have Instagram or Facebook or anything. I
Hey.
do have Pinterest.
Pinterest.
So if you want to
okay.
follow me on Pinterest, HALLDOWK, all dot. So go hit me up. I don't think I have any followers, so if you want to be the first one, go ahead.
Yeah, I've got some Pinterest followers from like way back in the day.
Yeah.
But
I love Pinterest.
It's a good
It's
one.
great.
It's addictive. It's almost as addictive as Instagram.
Yeah, I gave up Instagram a little while ago in favor of Pinterest, and I'm so glad I did.
Yeah, it's
That's-
not a bad move.
That's
It's
discipline right there.
It
It
is
was.
discipline.
Yeah.
And
It's
that's a whole
it's
separate
tie-in.
discussion. Yeah, the whole
Awesome.
separate discussion.
Yeah.
Right there.
And you can find the Gird Up podcast on Instagram as girdup_B_A_man. I've been wrong for like 4 years about my own Instagram handle, so it's right now. You can find us on Facebook at Gird Up. You can join the Gird Up community there. Welcome to all the people that are joining us for the first time. We had big audiences in India, Russia, Uruguay, some Malawi, some
That's
big
cool.
ones recently. And of course, we're always happy to have Americans too. Actually, well, and we had some from Ukraine, which makes sense because we had Kostya on too.
That's cool.
So lots of cool stuff going on. And t-shirts are dropping soon. Just got the new stickers today. And t-shirts are dropping soon. They're in production right now. And the website will finally be updated for the first time in like 5 years coming up here too. So all kinds of
Big
exciting
stuff.
stuff going on. Find us there and go be the man that God created you to be. Awesome, fellas. Nicely done.